There's one issue in this country that 65% of us agree on. There was a freedom in this country that had been protected for 50 years. This freedom was removed by a Supreme Court nominated for life by presidents that had never won the popular vote. Well, except for this billionaire's put in there by Bush. The Bush that actually won the popular vote. He instilled old Clarence here and what was left of his pubes.
Trump is the new Adolf.
The initial novelty of Trump's presidency has worn off. And now women in this country are living with the ramifications. For like a week after they repealed Roe versus Wade, after they struck it down, they pretended like they were going to leave it up to the states. But after that week ended, there's Lindsey Graham out there demanding a national abortion ban. And I just want to say one more time before we begin this episode. One more time for the brain dead. One more time for the people who would even dare, in this day and age, mutter that both parties are the same line. The majority of the United States has said that they don't care about your hobby. And yes, I'm calling religion a hobby. Modern religion does not accomplish anything. And I've seen this firsthand. All it does is make the person who goes there feel better about themselves. The same feeling I get in Call of Duty when I'm teabagging someone. Taste it. And that power that the church gains by giving these people a space to practice their hobby, that power that the church gains from that, they swing like a mace to the face of our democratic republic. I mean, really, did anyone expect these kind of people to have a measured, sane response?
This just into CNN. The University of Alabama at Birmingham Health System is now the first organization in Alabama to confirm that it's pausing in vitro fertilization treatments. This comes after Alabama's Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos under state law are children. The justices declaring last week that the Wrongful Death of a Minor Act applies to all unborn children regardless of their location.
At this point, right?
Let's go to CNN's Isabel Rosales. Isabel, this is exactly what critics of this decision feared would happen.
Hey, Boris, that is exactly correct. And this one of its kind ruling,
you don't give these people power
back into the
ever. They're absolutionists. They have no compromise.
Organization in the state to say that it is pausing IVF treatment in light of this ruling. I want to show you a piece of their statement right here. It reads, "We must evaluate the potential that our patients and our physicians could be prosecuted criminally or face punitive damages for allowing the standard of care for IVF treatments." So
the Republican Party has lost their goddamn mind. If you live in Alabama and you oversleep so you're late for work, just grab some eggs, seatbelt them in the car just like this, and hop in the carpool lane. I wish I was being hyperbolic, but when we tell you, what we've been telling you, when the generation before me has been telling you for 60 years, that the religious right are Christo-fascists, and now we get to literally this, where eggs are living beings. I'm not here to relitigate the past, right? And that's not what this episode's going to be about. Everybody who watched this channel for longer than a year knows that, I'm a Bernie supporter. I was a Bernie supporter. But I can't help to think, if we would have just had Hillary in there. She was cringe. She was a terrible candidate. But if we just had Hillary in there, a woman who voted with Bernie 96% of the time, we would have 3 liberal Supreme Court justices. Supreme Court justices that could uphold Roe versus Wade. Supreme Court justices that would help forgive student loan debt. Supreme Court justices that would reaffirm and rebuild the Voter Rights Act that the Republican Party has just gutted for the past 25 years. And like I said, I don't want to relitigate 2016, but the reason I bring this up is this bullshit right here, this extremism, We need to take it as a lesson. The religious right have voted religiously. Yes, pun intended. The religious right have voted religiously in every single election. Republican for the last 60 years. And look what happened.
Never thought it would ever get to this point.
Thousands of families like Rebecca Matthews in Alabama caught off guard. After multiple miscarriages, they turned to IVF.
Has Alabama ever been on the right side of anything in history?
Without IVF, we would not have our 2 children.
Now, Matthew says
Party of
they
life.
don't know what will happen to their remaining frozen embryo stored at another Alabama clinic.
The thing that's scary for us is if we choose to discard our embryo, could we be charged with something? Is that a criminal
How
offense now?
crazy
Is that murder?
She's scared to get rid of her embryo because she thinks she might go to jail for it. This is the United States of America in the year 2024. And the worst part is, I know people like this. They voted for Trump and now they can't believe the extremes it's gone. They can't believe that states are throwing people in jail for just a woman's right to choose, a right women have had for, 60, 70 years now. Because Trump didn't only pick the 3 Supreme Court judges that did this to us. Guess which other judge he picked?
Judge on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, Sarah Pitlick
Sarah
of Missouri. Judge on the District Court for the Eastern District of Missouri.
This is a woman who was deemed by the United States Bar Association to be not qualified. Not qualified, which in Republican speak means that if Trump wins next year, she'll probably be another Supreme Court justice. Because not qualified in the Republican Party is the Republican Party. And even if you are the most pious Christian woman out there, the thought that you would want Lindsey Graham, Tim Scott, or Butthead over here to get in between you and your doctor is complete batshit.
It's just pure ugliness, and I see that ugliness on the inside. I see it on the outside. Even in the
This is
horrible
who's between you and
circumstance
your
where an
doctor
abortion
now.
may happen, it is nothing to celebrate, and it is nothing to cheer.
Is it safe to say that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes,
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
be offended.
Be offended. Matt Gaetz, who was caught, making driver's license for underage girls so that he could bang them. Be offended, he says. He says he's never seen a woman who supports abortion that isn't ugly. This isn't some mean Twitter comment. This is a United States congressman. This is the guy who's putting himself between you and your doctor. There's a 100% chance Lindsey Graham has never even seen a vagina in his entire life. Icky! Another one out there, Tim Scott. He wants to decide what happens with your body. Tim Scott, the 50-year-old virgin who's hired himself a girlfriend so that he can be Trump's VP, so that he can run for that. And I guarantee you, I'll bet anyone in the comments $100 right now, if Trump doesn't pick Tim Scott as VP, he's going to get rid of his beard. He's going to shave that off, and she's going to be gone. The only thing smaller than Tim Scott's teeth are his balls.
Two more guys.
Senator Trump has said that that you campaign better for him than you do for yourself. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think that the whole concept of James 4:10, which I struggled with on the campaign trail, my campaign, we've had lots of conversations publicly and privately about the importance of how do you exalt yourself and promote yourself while remaining humble. I've struggled with that on the campaign trail. Now, having a conversation about the future of America and President Trump being that leader is very easy. There's no internal conversation about when are you doing too much self-promotion. So the truth of the matter is that I'm far better encouraging and being excited and motivated for President Trump than I was for myself, because I don't have that internal debate going on.
Senator, do
There you go.
you agree with Trump?
I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how much the Chuds eat this up. A black man saying he's much more comfortable propping up and promoting a white man. Could Steve Bannon wrote this any better? And Tim Scott being this power hungry. No one who's this power hungry who'll get down on their knees like this who will open wide. No one like this should ever be anywhere near any kind of authority. Speaking of Donald Trump throwing around slurs.
Love of Christ, the stories of the Holy Bible, and the voices of famed evangelical people and evangelists like the late, great Pat Robertson, who was a great gentleman.
Evangelicus, sundown, you better take care. Someone sneaking up Lindsay's back door. I don't know.
9 months, and even after birth. I mean, even after birth.
This is a lie.
You remember
it's
the
always been a
governor,
lie, and it will
former
always be a
governor of
lie.
Virginia, that said the baby will be born and we will decide to kill the baby after birth. We will make a decision with the mother. This is the first time I heard that, but there is legislation in some states where you actually have the right to do that. So they're the radicals. You're not the radicals. We're not the radicals. They're the radicals. And you have to say that. Politicians have to say that. Because nobody believes that after a certain period of time, nobody believes that you should be doing this. It's like 97% agree.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody should believe this. 100% nobody believes. When you have to make up stories like this that confirm religious zealots who make the radical Christians who want to inject their views into everyday life, not their everyday life, all of our everyday life. You know, they want to inject their views, their prejudices. They want to force all of that on everybody else. When you have to make up a sensational story like this, and the Republicans just keep repeating this story. It doesn't matter how many times it's been debunked. It's been debunked more times than I could ever go through. But you have to make up stories like this because it's them that's trying to interfere with your life. It's them that's trying to interfere with my life. So you have to assure them that they're the righteous ones. And it's okay. It's okay that their minority view be placed on everybody else because we're the radicals. They're the sane ones. They're the same ones that think unfertilized eggs are humans now. They're the ones with the big brains. They're not radical. No way. And I'm getting so sick of hearing this propaganda. Anyone with 2 brain cells to rub up next to each other knows that no mother in the world carries a baby for 9 months, spends all that money, all that care, doctors, the discomfort, destroying their bodies. No woman does that for 9 months. And then at the end of it, says, let me see it. You know what? On second thought, nah. Get rid of it. It never happens. The only time it ever happens is when the mom is going to die giving birth. You know, that piece of skin around the baby? The woman? And I'm telling you, the only people that could come up with such a caricature of a female, right? This being driven by pure emotion with no reason at all, who would, like I said, carry a baby for 9 months. They'd be like, nah. The only people that could come up with it are these right-wing weirdos, like Tim Scott, like Lindsey Graham, these gay closeted men. It is just my opinion, but a 50-year-old virgin should not tell any woman in this country what her rights are, what her privacy is with her doctor. And speaking of gay dudes,
he wants a total abortion ban with no exceptions. He supported bans that would not only criminalize abortion, but ban IVF treatments and common forms of birth control, and that you voted against access to contraception. Where are you on these issues? Is that an accurate assessment of where you are? Because that's not in step with the American people.
Another weirdo.
No, Shannon, look, I'm pro-life. I've said very clearly, I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I believe in the sanctity of every single human life. So I come to Congress with deep, personally held conviction.
You see that? You hear that? Mike, I want to beat off with my kid Johnson. He's a Christian. He's pro-life. He comes to Congress with strongly held convictions. So how does that translate for the rest of us? Well, Mike Johnson's a Christian, so I guess we all have to be Christians. Right? And that's what I'm talking about here. That's how religion works. There's no voting in it. You know, God doesn't take a poll if he should flood the earth. It's absolutionist. But what's not absolutionist is a republic, is a democratic republic. And so what they're doing is they're exploiting an institution that is dated. The Supreme Court, right? Needs some kind of term limits. It needs something. It has no oversight right now. The founding fathers, they should have known, but they couldn't have imagined how hijacked it would become.
And I was able to bring this issue for the first time in 54 years back to the states where everybody agrees on both sides. Everybody agrees that's where it should be, back in
Everybody
the states.
agrees.
It was so important.
You agree?
Everybody on both sides.
Women in Texas, women in Alabama.
And they are the
you
radicals.
Agree?
Remember this.
Everybody agrees, both sides. Tell me in the comments. Tell me if you agree. Two things about the clips we've seen. If you have to keep reaffirming people with every speech, he did it again there. And he did in the clip I showed earlier. If you have to keep reaffirming people that they're actually not the crazy ones, that they're actually not the radicalized ones. This is just a life tip for anybody. If you're in the crowd and the speaker keeps telling you how not crazy you are, chances are you're fucking batshit. And second of all, there's no more ambiguity. He's out there not only taking credit for the 3 judges he put in, not only taking credit for taking the rights away, not only taking credit so eggs are humans now. Easter's going to be a bloodbath. But Trump is also proposing a national ban, just like Lindsey Graham.
Do you have a reaction to the Alabama Supreme Court ruling on the fact that embryos are children?
Yeah, I was all for it. We need to have more kids. We need to have an opportunity to do that. And I thought this was the right thing to do. But
IVF is used to have more children, and right now IVF services are paused at some of the clinics in Alabama. Aren't you concerned that this could impact people who are trying to have kids?
Well, that's for another conversation. People need to have. We need more kids. We need the people to have the opportunity to have kids.
Senator, what do you say to the women right now in Alabama who
This
no
is
longer
your
have
senator,
access to
Alabama,
IVF,
by the way.
Will not, as a result of this ruling? What do you say to them?
Well, that's a hard one. It really is. It's really hard. Because, again, you want people to have that opportunity.
One of 100 senators.
And that's what I was telling her. We need more kids.
One of 100 senators. I always thought it was the players who got brain damage from playing football. I didn't realize it was the coaches, too. And it is really rare, although maybe not as much as it used to be. But you're watching in real time a totally unprepared senator. He's never been prepared a day in his life since he got here. Changing his mind, going through the motions right on camera in the same conversation. And sadly enough, Alabama, here's who you could have had.
Who the hell's going to want to come to Alabama after this?
Who the hell's going to want to come to Alabama?
How are they going to attract doctors? So this goes way beyond just even the individual families that are going to be affected and the women of the state. It goes to businesses and who we are as a state.
Who the hell is going to come to Alabama should be that state's motto. I can't think of anything that sums up Alabama more perfectly than who the hell wants to come to Alabama. It'll replace their current state motto, which is, hey, at least we're not Mississippi.
Stand is that in the end, we do not answer to bureaucrats in Washington. We answer to God in heaven.
You don't answer to
we answer to God in heaven.
See, that absolution.
So today I come before you as a friend and an ally and a fellow believer to ask for your help and your support and your prayers for this country. We need your prayers, most importantly. And I make you a simple promise. In my first term, I fought for Christians harder than any president has ever done before. You know that. You know that.
I mean, there it is. On top of the proposed concentration camps he's talking about every week. On top of locking up anyone that's a Democrat. Purging the entire Republican Party so it's nothing but loyalists. And on top of all that, he's assuring every woman out there that he could reach out and he can grab you by your pussy. Because he and the Republican Party, Mike Johnson, Lindsey Graham, Matt Gaetz, all of them, they will own your body. So what he said in jest, what he said as locker room talk, like 8 years ago? The Republican Party is going to double down on. And now if you pull away when the Republicans try to grab you by your pussy, you can go to jail. If you like content like this, I mean, I don't like content like this. I don't like what I'm talking about. But if you like watching me talk about things I don't like to talk about, I don't know. Just make sure you like and subscribe. If you've been here for a while, you want to become a member, you can get some benefits, do that. You support the channel, go ahead and sign up. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Make sure, I know I don't have to tell it to the people that follow my channel, but for the love of God, make sure you get out there and you vote this year. And get everyone you know to vote. I know you're the wrong audience. You're already politically engaged. But let other people know. Dispel some of this propaganda. Because this is dark. This is dark on top of dark on top of dark. So, the Chud Report.
Love of Christ, the stories of the Holy Bible, and the voices of famed evangelical people and evangelists like